Well, welcome back into the Reese Senior Bowl film room. And last week we took a look at a day in the life of an NFL scout. Today we're going to examine one of the elements within that day, and that's the study of videotapes for these NFL prospects. So come on in and let's take you through a sound approach to studying videotape for players aspiring to get to the next level. As a general overview to watching tape, number one, the scout has to arrive early or has to plan to stay late, or in some cases, do both. Number two, he needs to have his notebook prepared before arriving at the school. There's no bigger turnoff than when a young, inexperienced scout or an old wily veteran that stayed up too late the night before shows up and says, "Hey, who are we looking at?" and wants to fill in his notebook while everybody else is already watching the tape. This is an example of where we're taking a look at Deron Smith, the safety from Fresno State. So we have his name, his position, his height, weight, and his speed. We have the critical factors: athletic ability, strength, explosion, size, speed, competitiveness, and then the position specifics: his key diagnosis skills, instincts, run support, zone coverage, man coverage, range, hands in terms of trying to go make an interception. Then we have an area for the assessment of his mental capacity, his character, his work habits, and those things that we talked about last week in terms of gathering information from the people on campus that work with Deron on a daily basis. I think that you have to be able to split the offensive or defensive line and the skill players, wide receivers and defensive backs, if you have more than 3 prospects on a given side of the ball. So that means you're going to have to watch the game twice to be able to zero in on the line players and then focus in on the skill players. But when you're watching tape, and I picked this up from Ron Marcinak, longtime scout with the Dallas Cowboys and then the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, but he worked for Tom Landry back in the day. And Coach Landry would not take any notes on the first tape. Most teams require a 3-game minimum before a scout is to submit a report. And so the first tape, he would not take any notes. He would just get an overview, an idea of where the player is lining up, how he's being utilized by the team, but no notes. Then the second tape, he would begin filling in the critical factors, the position specifics, and then the final tape would be where the scout goes in and fills in the blanks on things that he's not seen, things that he needs to try and find, whether it's a defensive back's assessment of his hands, whether it's a wide receiver blocking on the perimeter. There's all sorts of things that you may not have seen in the first 2 tapes that you now fill in the blanks with the third tape, and then you begin formulating your ideas for the summary. And that's really important because the summary not only is an evaluation of the player, but it's also an evaluation of the scout's ability to put onto paper what he's seen throughout the course of his school visit, a live game, and other exposures he's had on the prospect through the years. And then the final thing is to avoid distractions. In the world of cell phones and talking and texting, it's very easy to get distracted when watching tape. And I think for scouts, it's really important that they zero in and focus on the task at hand. Regardless of the given approach by an NFL team or the Reese Senior Bowl, 4 of the key starting points in evaluating prospects for professional football are evaluating the eyes, the feet, the hips, and the hands of each individual prospect. And if you can do that, then the coaches can take that raw talent and turn that prospect into a legitimate NFL player.